Hi, I am Eileen Fowler with Quiltmaker magazine, and the quilt behind me is Haute Ziggity. It's designed by Sandra Clemons and will appear in Quiltmaker's March-April 2015 issue. You'll notice the large multicolored patches are just outstanding in this quilt, but they're not from one fabric. They're made with a technique that's called string piecing, and it's called string piecing because it uses a lot of strings or long strips of fabric to make these patches. I'll show you how that's done. This technique is a traditional technique that's been around for generations, and so maybe you've seen it before. It uses a foundation, and traditionally foundations could be anything, including maybe pages from a phone book, perhaps newsprint. You could use just about anything you use for foundation piecing, like copy paper. Traditionally, it also could use muslin if you don't want to rip out all the paper out of the patch, or even a lightweight fusible or non-fusible interfacing. For Sandra's quilt, the patches are a little different sized throughout the quilt. You'll see a lot of parallelograms and some triangles, so you want to print these patches out for your foundations. And so we used a newsprint here, and that'll identify the patch letter for your string piecing, and also shows you with this arrow the direction your strips will be sewn on to the foundation. Your strips for the string piecing can be a variety of different colors, they can be a variety of different widths, they can be straight, they can be a little bit wonky. I've got a variety of just solid color patches here. But you can use prints, you can use tone-on tones. It's just a chance to really play. And you'll notice that these are not all necessarily the same length. The important thing is making sure that your strips or your strings cover the entire foundation. But you can start with really long strips like this, and as you're piecing them on, once you've pieced them onto the foundation, then you trim them up. Okay, for this foundation, I've got a strip that I've pinned to the unprinted side of my foundation. And you'll see that I'm starting on the left side of this particular foundation, and I'm making sure that the strip extends beyond all the edges. And just pin it in place. And the difference between this and foundation piecing is that with foundation piecing, you're going to want the fabric to be on the back side, but you're going to sew it with the paper against your feed dogs. In foundation piecing, it's just the opposite. You'll want to have the fabric side against your feed dogs. So that's the main difference. So we'll start with this first piece. And then we'll take our second string, and we're going to put them right sides together, and then we're going to just sew right through the entire strip. Then we'll take it to our ironing board, and we'll just press that open, ready to add the next string. Vary the strings and the widths, makes it a lot more interesting. So now I've got a wider strip that I'm sewing onto my yellow strip. When I've got that sewn on, I will take that to my ironing board, press that open. And I'll keep doing that in the same manner until I have my entire foundation completely covered with strings. You can see in the back, I have enough of the strings beyond all the edges of my, my foundation. And at this point, I'm going to trim it to this solid line, which gives me a good 1/4 inch seam line. And this is my finished foundation. You can see on the back, it's all trimmed up even with the edge. Okay, here's a different shape. I've used the newsprint or the page from the phone book actually to sew these on, and it's a square. And I started with the first strip actually in the middle. It was the longest strip, and started adding toward the outside. And you can see this strip that I've added on this side is much longer. Once I've sewn it on, I can just go ahead and cut it right off and then use this strip for another string somewhere else in the patch. And now I can take it to my ironing board, press that open, and I'll just keep adding from the center out to the edges here. In this example, the strings are attached to a large piece of muslin, and they were started on one edge and just sewn toward the other in a continuous way until you've got a patch like this. And now you can use this whole piece, or you can cut this like it's a piece of fabric into some smaller patches. So I hope you'll give string piecing a try. Again, this is Haute Ziggity by Sandra Clemons in Quiltmaker's March-April 2015 issue. It's also available as a digital download pattern. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up below, share it on social media, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me.